Hello, I'm HG Tudor, and welcome to this video, What is Narcissism? I'm going to provide you with the central aspect of what narcissism is. This is going to touch on various other facets which are covered in other aspects of my work, and in a sense there are different avenues one can go down to explain how the narcissism works, how the narcissist regards the behaviour, how the narcissist is functioning. But that is covered in additional work. And the purpose of this is to help you understand what narcissism actually is. Now, a useful starting point would actually be, let me tell you what narcissism is not. Narcissism is not an alien life force. Certainly, many of the behaviours that we engage in seem alien-like to you. And that is because we operate from a different perspective. And you will need to understand how the narcissistic perspective works. We have not been transported from the planet Zog into the body of a human being, and that we are some alien life form that doesn't understand how human beings work, and therefore we don't fit in, or we fit in varying ways. Of course, the function of narcissism means that some narcissists are more obvious than others, for reasons that I'll expand on another occasion. However, we are not an alien life form, so we can throw the little green men right out of the window straight away. Also, narcissism is nothing to do with the Jezebel spirit. That is utter hogwash. And anybody that tries to convince you that somehow the Jezebel spirit has got hold of me or any other narcissist really is not worth listening to. As soon as that word comes out of their mouth or is written on the page, stop. Walk away. The information isn't worth anything. It is inaccurate and it is misleading. Indeed, you might actually be listening to a mid-range narcissist who thinks they understand it. They do not, because to describe it as the Jezebel spirit is wholly inaccurate. Narcissism is nothing to do with a lack of self-esteem either. This is a repeated mistake that those that don't understand narcissism portray. Most narcissists have an excellent conceit of themselves in terms of it manifesting. Others still have an excellent conceit of themselves, but it doesn't manifest as such because they are more passive-aggressive in behaviours and appear to be weaker, more vulnerable. But that appertains to certain mid-range narcissists and those of the victim cadre. More about those on another occasion. But understand this. Narcissism is not a lack of self-esteem. We have plenty of it. We think, and our narcissism ensures, that we have an excellent conceit of ourselves, and this will manifest in different ways dependent upon the type of narcissist that you are involved with. The narcissist is not the archetypal alpha male, the one who is bold and brash, eats what he kills, doesn't give a flying fuck about anybody, is ultra vain, standing in front of the mirror, always down at the gym. That is but one slight flavour of narcissist. There are different types of narcissist, and this is something that even the DSM fails to notice and pay regard to. There are lots of different flavours of narcissist. I call them schools and sub-schools. They range from the school lesser narcissist, which includes lower lesser, middle lesser, upper lesser type A, and upper lesser type B. Then there is mid-range. lower mid-range, middle mid-range type A, middle mid-range type B, upper mid-range. Then greater, lower greater, middle greater, upper greater, and then me, the ultra. I will be providing you with plenty of information about these various sub-schools on another occasion. But it is important to understand that I classify with regard to these. I don't talk about covert or overt. Those are behaviours, not types of narcissist. So don't use those terms, please. They are not sufficiently accurate. I also deal in cadres, victim, somatic, elite, and cerebral. And they sit with the school. So, for example, you might have a lower mid-range somatic, or an upper mid-range elite, or a middle lesser victim. The cadres sit with the sub-schools. You will hear repeated mention of these schools and cadres through my work, and it is advantageous for you to acquaint yourself with that information because it will help you understand the type of narcissist that you have been involved with, or the different types of narcissists that you have been involved with, so you know what to expect, what you need to do, and how you can deal with them. Narcissists have many similarities, but also many differences. And that is not reflected in much of the work that assumes that we all operate in a similar way, and that is why such work is incomplete. The alpha male is just one representation of narcissist, most likely upper mid-range somatic, and even then it doesn't sit quite with it. I have created these sub-schools and cadres based upon my extensive experience of being involved with narcissists, and also to help you understand. My long-standing readers and listeners recognise the accuracy of this material and how useful it is in conveying the behaviour of the narcissist in specific situations. Finally, narcissism is not demonic possession. We might appear to behave like a demon, but we're not possessed. We are Homo sapiens like you, but we have developed differently because we have narcissistic personality disorder. We are in the minority, but a sizable one. But there is no demonic possession. And I come across this too often. For instance, only a matter of 50 minutes ago, on the other channel, there was a comment that read such as this: I hope and pray that everyone listening to this has come to understand that the narcissistic personality disorder are literally demon-possessed. What utter bollocks. If I am literally demon-possessed, then why am I not shape-shifting under the door? Why am I not suddenly appearing in the middle of the night in the way that a demon meant to be, that I have supernatural powers? I don't. I'm entirely capable and effective, but I am not literally demon-possessed. My head does not spin in a 360-degree zone. I don't vomit up pea soup. This person goes on to write, this includes the man making these videos. I ask myself, what is the true goal of the narcissist demon-possessed man making these videos? Well, I'll tell you part of the purpose, my dear. It's to get rid of absolute crap like that is written about narcissism. She goes on to write, he has no good in him. I do good things, however, but good and evil are just perspectives. That's for something on another occasion. His intention with these videos are also clandestine. I think you'll find they're not. I make it perfectly clear who I am from the moment that you arrive, and I'm very clear about the information that I provide to you. So, consequently, there's nothing clandestine about it. Again, this demonstrates the level of misunderstanding that exists about narcissism. Remember that my dearest friends listening, I think she means listening to these videos, God is love, and these narcissists are of Satan. They can only take advantage of someone who has not come to the discovery of who they are in Jesus Christ. Now, people are perfectly entitled to believe in God and Jesus if they wish, but it's nothing to do with the satanic battle. Narcissism is nothing to do with demonic possession. And anybody that maintains the same, again, stop listening to them, don't read what they've got to write, go and do something far more worthwhile with your time. Now, having established what narcissism is not, let's get down to what narcissism actually is. Of course, there is the well-known definition contained within the American Psychiatric Association DSM-5, which talks about grandiose sense of self-importance, preoccupation with fantasies of unlimited success, believes that he or she is special, requires excessive admiration, sense of entitlement, interpersonally exploitative, lacks empathy, envious of others, shows arrogant, haughty behaviours or attitudes, and 5 of the 9 only need be present. The difficulty with all of that is that it doesn't actually convey to you precisely what narcissism is, because those are just a range of behaviours. It just tells you this is the way that the person behaves, but it doesn't actually tell you what the narcissism is. I'll help you with that. Narcissism is a self-defense mechanism, first and foremost. Narcissism is designed to acquire the prime aims. What are those prime aims? Control and fuel. Those are somewhat bound together. Fuel, some people refer to this as narcissistic supply. I abhor that term. It's inaccurate and it's too long. Fuel is much more accurate and far easier to type. Fuel is in essence an emotional output. So, if you say, for example, I love you, that's fuel. If you tell the narcissist that he's an arsehole angrily, that's fuel. If you glare at the narcissist, that's fuel. If you give the narcissist a hug, that's fuel. If you send the narcissist a birthday card with birthday greetings, that's fuel. If you leave a dog turd on his doorstep in a bag that's set on fire, that's fuel. So any interaction that you have with the narcissist, which is an emotional output in some form, demonstrating basically positive emotions, love, affection, admiration, or negative emotions, fear, hatred, anger, envy, jealousy, is all fuel to us. If you want to understand fuel, and you ought to, please read my book, Fuel, which you will find on Amazon. So the prime aims are control and fuel. Those are the 2 most important aspects of it. Character traits and residual benefits. Character traits are aspects of your life which we bolt onto our own and pass off as our own. I won't go into detail today what those are. That will be done another time. Residual benefits covers lots of things. Great sex, somewhere to live, money, a lift in a car, access to your networking contacts, information, somebody to do the laundry for you, bake you a cake, lots of different ones. So narcissism seeks out the fulfillment of the prime aims of fuel and control, character traits and residual benefits from all the people that we interact with. Narcissists prefer to get all of those things from a small group of people where they are less evolved, namely lesser narcissists and lower end of mid-range. And I'll be explaining the nature of the individuals that narcissists interact with, because that is called the fuel matrix. But for now, understand this. Narcissism is a self-defense mechanism that seeks out the prime aims of fuel and control, character traits, and residual benefits, namely, all things that benefit us. It will manifest through grandiosity, but not always. It will manifest through grandiosity in ways you might not know and see. It will manifest through fantasies of unlimited success. It will manifest through a belief of being special. Excessive admiration is a form of fuel and also is linked to control. Sense of entitlement enables us to obtain those prime aims. Exploitative behaviour is part of the mechanism to obtain those prime aims. But people will not always realise that you are being exploited, because we will exploit you in ways which are benign. We lack empathy. That is a hallmark, and again is necessary for the acquisition of the prime aims. Exhibition of envy, or believing that others are envious of us, that links to control. And finally, arrogant and haughty behaviours or attitudes are not always present, and again are linked to behaviours designed to acquire the prime aims. So the DSM explains to you a range of behaviours that are present in the narcissist, although my work goes far further than that so that you can understand what they look like and how they manifest in a variety of ways. But what all of those things are linked to, and remember they're not always present because of the different types of narcissists that exist, they are there to get the prime aims. So let me repeat. Narcissism is a self-defense mechanism that operates to obtain the prime aims of fuel and control, character traits, and residual benefits. So if anyone was to ask you, what is narcissism? The answer is a self-defense mechanism that operates to achieve the prime aims. You also know what the prime aims are. Now, how that manifests is an entirely different matter and a topic for discussion on another occasion. Also, the extent of the knowledge of the narcissist, that whether he or she knows that that is what they are pursuing, is another topic, but I shall touch on it briefly. In essence, lesser and mid-range narcissists don't know that they are seeking out the prime aims. Greater do, and I as the ultra naturally do. Lesser and mid-range narcissists don't know what they are. Greaters and the ultra do. And therefore, as part of that, greater narcissists and the ultra know what we're doing and, in the circumstances, seek out the prime aims. The lesser and mid-range narcissists also seek out those prime aims but don't realise that is what they are actually doing. And future work will explain more of that to you. So, narcissism is a self-defense mechanism aimed at achieving the prime aims. Some narcissists know that that's what they're seeking, but the vast majority, being lesser and mid-range, do not. The most important aspects of this self-defense mechanism are the pursuit of fuel and control. Why? We were created from a genetic predisposition towards narcissism, allied with a lack of control environment. In a separate video, we'll go more into detail about the circumstances of the creation of the narcissism. But now, it's important for you to understand that because of that, the putting together of a genetic predisposition towards narcissism and a lack of control environment, that this means that all narcissists are hypersensitive to the issue of control. So in the way that a dog will hear frequencies that you and I cannot, I as a narcissist will be hypersensitive to threats to my control, and you will not as a non-narcissist. Again, as the ultra and also with graters, I know this. Lesser and mid-range don't realise that they have this hypersensitivity to control. What this all means is we must always have control. And when you interact with us, you actually only ever have 3 interactions with us. And that is covered in detail in the material, the 3 interactions with the narcissist, which you will find in the Knowledge Vault. In essence, you are either giving us control or you are threatening it. You are with us or you are against us. You are white or you are black. There is no hinterland, no in between, no grey. Certain things you do signal that you're giving us control. Other things signal that you are not giving us control, that you are threatening control. It's not what you intend, it's how we perceive it. This hypersensitivity means that the narcissism arose during our formation, when we were children, to be that self-defense mechanism so that it will naturally cause us to behave in a way so that we assert control, gain fuel, obtain character traits, and residual benefits. But the 2 most important aspects of those pursuits are fuel and control. Our narcissism is designed to defend us and always be seeking control, getting it in the first place, maintaining it, and rejecting threats to it. It is also seeking out fuel, because fuel is what powers us. Fuel creates the material that binds the construct together. And I will be explaining on other occasions about that. If you threaten our control, our narcissism automatically activates to tackle the threat through the 3 assertions of control. And if you wish to understand more about what those 3 assertions of control are, please obtain the material located in the Knowledge Vault. The narcissism functions through the narcissistic perspective, and therefore, when the narcissism activates to pursue the prime aims, it does so instinctively at an unconscious level for lesser and mid-range narcissists, and at a conscious level for greaters and for myself. Similarly, when the narcissism is asserting control, the lesser and mid-rangers don't realise that's what's happening. They are allowed by the narcissism to think that it is something else. I know that what I'm doing, and greaters know what they are doing for the purposes of asserting that control. We see everything, if you like, through a distortion field. And we see it in that black or white. Is what going on giving us control? Then there isn't a problem. If it's threatening control, there is a problem. And we will respond to assert that control, to gain fuel from you, to acquire character traits from you, to get residual benefits from you, through either benign or malign manipulations, flattery, bribery, great sex, compliments, being supportive, false compassion. All of those are seemingly benign manipulations, but they are manipulations, and behind them, they are seeking the prime aims from you. So when the narcissist says, I love you, what is actually happening is the narcissism is causing him to say that to you so that you say, I love you too. When you say that, you have signaled to the narcissist that you are under control, prime aim achieved. You are also providing fuel by your comment, prime aim achieved. The narcissist may well be able to obtain character traits from you arising out of that interaction, prime aim achieved. And of course, by you falling in love with us and believing that we love you, you are more likely to do things for us. So residual benefits, whichever they be, have also been achieved. If a narcissist turns round to you and says that you're an ugly bitch and it's no wonder that he slept with somebody else because you don't put out anymore, that is insult, provocation and triangulation. You are upset. Your tears signal that you are under control, prime aim achieved. Your upset is negative fuel, prime aim achieved. Character trait acquisition may not be relevant at that moment in time, but you remain in the relationship. Therefore, character traits can be obtained. Residual benefit, you may now try harder and perhaps do something to try and make us want you more. Perhaps dressing more sexily. Perhaps by putting out more often. Perhaps by performing some other favours for us. Therefore, residual benefits achieved. So as you can see, the narcissism operates through benign or malign manipulations in order to get the prime aims. And it is there as this self-defense mechanism to allow us to cope with the world. You, as non-narcissists, have developed different coping mechanisms. Our coping mechanisms amount from our narcissism, this self-defense mechanism designed to obtain the prime aims. It is hugely effective at asserting control, but there might be collateral consequences, and that is more common with lesser and mid-range narcissists, and I will be talking about that on another occasion. As I foreshadowed at the outset of this video, as you can hear, there are lots of different aspects to this, and I don't want to put too much information in at this juncture to muddy the waters of letting you understand what narcissism is not and what narcissism is. Accordingly, narcissism is not an alien being. It's not a Jezebel spirit. It's not a lack of self-esteem. It's not this alpha male, and it's certainly not somebody that is possessed by demons. Narcissism is labelled as a disorder because it is a minority behaviour, a sizable one, but a minority behaviour. And it is a disorder of personality, so that we behave in a particular way, those behaviours described in the DSM. But the reason we behave in some of those ways is because our narcissism causes us to be that way for the purposes of defending ourselves, so that we are able to maintain control, gain fuel from you, which is our lifeblood, obtain those character traits, which are relevant to the construct, which I'll explain on another occasion, and with regard to the residual benefits, which are useful for getting through life. After all, we need money, we need to eat, we need somewhere to live. That is what narcissism is. And it's fundamental that you remind yourself each time this is a self-defense mechanism that is operating purely for the good of the narcissist. If you get any benefit from it, that is just serendipity. It's designed for us, not for you. And sometimes you will get a benefit from it, although its purpose is purely for our sake. And often, as many of you will have experienced, you will not get any benefit from it because of the malign ways in which the manipulations apply as part of this self-defense mechanism. So it is crucial to understand that that is how the narcissism behaves. That is how the narcissism exists. Most narcissists don't know that they are narcissists. Most narcissists don't realise that what they're doing is because of the prime aims. They think it's for other reasons, and I will be explaining all about that on another occasion, which is one of the most difficult things for victims of narcissists to grasp, appertaining to the state of knowledge that the narcissist has. And such an important topic must be dealt with separately. Greater Narcissism and I is the Ultra. We know what narcissism is. We know what it does. We might use slightly different terms for what it achieves, but we know. And we know why we behave in the way that we do. But we are very rare and much smaller in number. And it's very unusual for you to come across greater narcissists, despite what people think. Lesser and mid-range narcissists operate through instinct. Greaters, slight degree of instinct, mainly calculation and planning. But again, I'll be addressing the mindset and thought processes of narcissists on another occasion. But for now, what you should take from this video is the DSM describes the behaviours, but not what narcissism actually is, in the detail from that criteria. And it is there as a self-defense mechanism to protect us, to enable us to function, to enable us to cope, to enable us to achieve. And it is very, very good at achieving those prime aims, especially fuel and control. There may be collateral consequences, broken relationships, jail time, criminal convictions, falling out with friends, not having any money, not being hygienic, being useless at a job. But those things are remedied in different ways. The narcissism is focused on fuel and control alongside character traits and residual benefits. My videos will go into much more detail about how this narcissism behaves. What is the narcissist thinking? The state of knowledge. What happens in certain situations? How this operates in the dynamic with you. But at the heart of it, at the centre of it all, is our narcissism exists to protect us, to achieve those prime aims, chief of which are fuel and control. So now you know what narcissism is. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening to What is Narcissism? Please do share this material with as many people as possible to ensure that they are educated in the proper way about what narcissism is. I appreciate you doing so.